Well, Andrea, so wonderful to be in your company today.
Thank you. Same. Even though we're on the other side of the world from each other, but it's cool.
Yeah, right, right. So I'm currently in Brazil and you're currently in
Sydney.
Sydney. Yep,
Yeah.
yep. And so, yes, we had this conversation about creative risk and what it's like to take creative risk, whether it be something that you're for a project that you're working on, or whether it be in your business. Because for background for people, I know you, Andrea, through taking my pictures. So
That's
for
right.
people
Yep.
for people listening, if you see the pictures on the podcast or the pictures on my website, they are Andre's work. And yeah, so coming back to the question, creative risk, can you share a bit about a recent creative risk you've taken?
I can tell you right now because yesterday, um, I've had an idea in mind, which I'm not going to explain too much, but I've had an idea in mind, something a bit more creative. So my photography is very photojournalistic. I wouldn't say it's creative. It's not blurry and all that kind of stuff. I like it to be precise and what you see is what you get. But I'm trying to do something a little bit more left field for me. So I've had an idea, I'd say for the past maybe 6 months, and it revolves around nautical maps.
Oh yeah.
And I bought two nautical maps, and they've been sitting on my living room floor, folded, for the past 6 months. And every now and then I open them, I look at them, I close them, I leave them there, I open them, I look at them. And you look, you think, even my daughter's like, Dad, are you gonna put these away? I'm like, no, they have to stay there because I just look at them every now and then. Maybe when I'm watching TV, I'll just go, yeah, have a look. Anyway, I started doing something with the computer, taking pictures of it and all that kind of stuff. And literally yesterday, I did a test print because I wanted to try to start working on it. Received the print, looked at it, and it's just sitting against my bookshelf. And when I opened the box, I was like, no, this is wrong. It doesn't work.
Oh,
It's
right.
nothing. It's not enough. So I think I'm in that phase where there's an idea in my mind that I can sort of see, but I'm not able to translate it physically yet. And
And
I thought I was, but last night I just opened it, and I have to say I was very disappointed. I was like, "No, this doesn't work.
uh,
There's nothing to it."
yeah,
And even
right.
last night before I went to bed, I was in bed thinking about it, saying, "Why didn't it work? Why this? Why that?" And then on the other hand, I was like, "Oh, just give it a break and go to sleep." No, but I want to know why it didn't work. So the two voices going back and forth. And this morning I looked at it again. I said, "This definitely does not work." So I don't know. It's
How do
uh,
you,
it's taking a risk.
on that, how do you know when, so you're taking a risk and you're creating something that hasn't been seen before. How do you know when something is going to, like, inverted commas, work versus not work? How do you tell that?
I don't know. I mean, when it comes to taking a picture, when you look at it and you have that reaction like, wow, that's cool, that's already a good step forward. Then very often I'll show the pictures to somebody else because obviously I take it, so of course it's the best picture in the world. But very often it's not the case. So very often I'll show it to another friend of mine or two friends that are photographers who I respect in our profession. And I just say, what do you think? Because they're not emotionally attached to the picture. And I know that they'll give a brutal, typical Australian comment like, no, 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 that's cool. No. I'm like, okay, but they have their reasons and we talk about it and then bounce off ideas and then the whole process works. So that's how I figure it out. And then also, like, I have to see, if I'm taking a portrait of somebody, see the person's reaction. So I'm doing a big project now with the group in the community Dykes on Bikes here in Sydney, and I've photographed a lot of the girls with their bikes and a lot of other members. The second part of the project is here at home in my studio, just taking a picture of them without their bike. And it's incredible how the dynamic changes because when everybody has their bike, they're all tough. Oh, look at my bike, this and that. But when you're sitting in front of a studio, in front of a person, it changes very quickly. They're like, what do you want me to do? Like they just stiffen up. And some people don't. And I like to have a chat. I like to hear their stories. And I don't photograph very much. But every now and then I'm able somehow to capture the essence of that person. And then I let them choose the picture that they want.
Hmm.
Very often the comment is, "Oh my God, you nailed it! Like you caught me, not the me
Yeah.
that everybody." And I'm like, "Oh wow, cool." So for me, that's a success. Then maybe you'll see the picture and you'll be like, "Yeah, nice, but there's nothing more to it." But I know that the connection that the subject had with it, and for me, that's good. So that means I'm on the right track, I hope.
Yeah, sure. Sure, sure.
So
And
you need validation. Not always, but I know if it's a nice picture because I like the expression. But having the subject say, "Oh my God, you captured me in that moment that I didn't even realize it." I'm like, "Well, I was standing in front of you. It's not like I was hiding." It's something extra, and it's and when I can achieve that in a portrait, that's pretty cool. It's
yeah.
very gratifying.
And having experienced you taking my pictures, I can attest to that absolutely that experience is tapping into the person's story and really seeing oh there's a there's a insect flying around. Really seeing that person in who they are, in their essence. And yeah, I get the sense that, there's a moment where I don't know, you see them is how
There's
I
always
see.
a moment. There's always a moment where somebody's going to let their guard down. Always. It always happens. Then it's
Mm,
up to me to see it. Very
mm,
often, the person who I'm photographing maybe doesn't want to let their guard down because they're just shut. They're too worried. They don't want to open up. Like it is what it is. Everybody's different. And that's why because I like it, I'm interested. I want to know something about them. I want to know their story. And that's where you have a chat with them. And if you
mm.
remember, you and I shot together. I don't take many pictures. We're just talking. How are you? Just to put the person at ease, to show interest, because I'm curious also. Like I do want to
Yeah,
know what person has life, what are they doing, and all that kind of stuff. And very often they do let down their guard. And sometimes it's just maybe that fleeting moment where a person will go, hmm, boom, and that's the picture. Because
yeah,
moment to themselves. They forget that I'm there, which is strange to say because I'm standing right in front of you. But
yeah,
it does
right.
happen. It happens all the time. And so sometimes I catch it, sometimes I don't. But I think it's a question of sensibility and but as I said, it also depends what the person wants to give to you because if somebody shuts off and they're like, I don't want to do this. Like actually 2 weeks ago, I had someone come over and they just said, look, I'm doing this because the boss told me to do it. I know you're a good person, all that kind of stuff, but I really hate being in front of a camera. I'm like, no problem whatsoever. And I had the camera on my lap and we talked and talked and talked. And at one point she said, are you going to take a picture? And I played dumb. I said, oh my God, you're right. Yeah, we were just having such a good chat. Okay. And then she had that moment where she did not want to look in the camera, which is fine. And she looked away. She was just swiveling on her chair, just like this, just because she was nervous. And then at one point, she just turned and looked the opposite way and boom, got the shot. And when she
Oh,
saw it, she was like, wow, that's so cool. And it's something
wow.
for me, it's something different. Like a portrait doesn't always have to be somebody looking at you. But there's the body movement, there's the moment looking
Mm,
away from the camera, whatever. It worked.
mm.
And in the end, she said, wow, that's a really cool picture. And I was
Oh.
like, oh, I didn't like having your picture taken. So you can brag at those moments when it
Yeah, and
happens.
I'm sure you've had some incredible stories. What's one significant story that you remember
There
hearing
was
from someone?
I did a portrait. Oh, this was just before COVID. I did a beautiful series in the trans community here in Sydney. The whole idea was to take really close-up pictures just of the head of people. And I did it. I'd meet somebody in a cafe, would have a chat, have a coffee, and then find a wall somewhere in the street and take a picture. And this lady's life was pretty rough.
Oh
One of
yeah.
those things that when you hear it, if you'd have seen it in a movie, you'd have been, yeah, typical movie setting. But when you hear it from somebody's mouth, you're like, wow, man, that's pretty full on. And then she told me other stuff. We took the picture and then went away, sent her the picture. She was happy with it, great. And that project went ahead. Then I kept on shooting in my studio. But there was something about this person that I still today cannot nail what it was, but there was something that intrigued me. Maybe it was her violence, maybe it was her resilience. I don't know, but there was something that kept me thinking about her. And so I called her one day, said, "Hey, remember me?" Yes, of course I do. Do you want to come home? I
Mm.
want to take some more pictures. And she said, "Yeah, lovely." So we did it. And we were at my apartment, everything's set up. She's sitting on the stool, I'm sitting on my stool. And then I just started saying, "Oh, have you finished your degree? Have you done this? Have you done that?" It was like 6 or 8 months later. And
Oh
she's
yeah.
like, "Oh my God, you remember that I was doing a degree in blah, blah, blah?" And I'm like, "Well, yeah, we spoke to each other, remember? Like, I do remember what people say." And
Yeah.
that's where it hit me saying, "Oh my God, no one listens to this person."
Oh
And I did. And I mean, I'm not saying that I'm Mother Teresa by far. No, I'm not. But
yeah.
just the attention. And she was really touched by it. It's like, "You remember I was going to do that?" I said, "Yeah." "And how'd it go?" And then, the conversation started flowing.
Mm.
We sat
Mm.
down, I think, for 3 hours and we just talked and talked and talked. And I remember we took 15 pictures, not 15
15?
rolls of
Sorry,
film,
15 or 50?
1 5.
Okay.
Okay. So not even a roll of film in the old days because
Yeah.
we were just talking, talking, talking. And at one point, I asked her something and she just went, "I don't know." And the moment she turned her head, I said, "Don't move." Click, got the
Uh,
picture. And there's
yeah.
that, yes, it was set up, but I was looking at her body language, the way she was moving. And when she looked up, I said, "Don't move." I quickly moved the light. And then she's like, "Can I move now?" I said, "No, stay there, don't move." And then I told her, "And now just let it out. Like, think
Yeah.
of something that gives you serenity, whatever." And she just went up with her shoulders and went, "Oh," click. And that's a shot.
Yeah,
So
right.
but I remember it because of her story. Like, her story was absolutely, yeah, it still gives you goosebumps, but especially the way she delivered it, it was
Mm.
very like every day, "Oh yeah, this happened, that happened, and this happened, and that happened." And you're like, "Whoa, whoa, rebound, what?" And like, I don't want to give it away for question of privacy,
Oh, for
but
sure, for sure.
it was damn. But yeah, I have to say, when she said, "Oh my God, you remember what I was doing?" I'm like, "Honey, we spoke like 6 months ago. I don't have dementia yet. It's I remember." And
Right.
she was really touched by that. And that, to me, besides getting a great picture, well, it's great for me, but besides getting a good picture, that clicked. There's something that clicked in my mind. And then I was like, you need to listen to the people you're photographing because they're doing
Mm.
you a favor of sitting in front of me, especially if it's a personal project. If it's work, it's different. But for these kind of things, you just have to sit down and listen to people and just have a chat. And I am a
Yeah,
curious
right.
person. I like to hear about other people's stories. And that over time, so that was what COVID was 6 years ago, 7 years ago, whatever it was now.
Yeah.
And I've been doing that ever since because I've realized that I am curious about it. And being curious maybe makes me more aware, maybe makes me more not sensitive as in I'm feeling energies, but more observant, more, yeah, I don't know, you
There's,
can feel it. I can't find the right word, but
yeah,
there's a connection.
absolutely.
And people
Absolutely.
love it. And people have always said, even recently, the comments like, "Oh my God, Andrea, it was so nice to shoot with you. You made me feel so safe, so not that we're in a dangerous environment, but people just open up and it's
Oh,
great." And
yeah.
for me, that's like, it's a massive compliment. Forget about the picture. So I think that's the important side of things. Then the picture happens.
Yeah. And it's that curiosity, right? It's that curiosity to ask the questions and to listen deeply to what that person has to say. And when you said that moment where they say, "I don't know," that's for me, I hear that they've gone beyond rational thought and they've
Yeah.
gone beyond the space of like, most people think they know all the answers. And when you arrive at a place and you realize, oh, there's so much that I don't know. That's just a true place to be. Um, I One of the things that we've spoken about is opening doors. And so photography, picture taking, portraits is a highly creative business. And I'd love to hear about how you um, how you go about, the process or the opening of doors, for how things evolve and flow.
Okay, I'll tell you a little story that just happened in October. Um, Years ago, we're talking about 33 years ago, I went to Venice when I was living in Italy. I went to Venice to see an exhibition of a photographer who's an absolute icon in my eyes, Robert Mapplethorpe. And he's known for his, let's say, risque pictures, his body pictures that he makes human bodies look like marble sculptures. He was very good with light and amazing, amazing photographer of flowers. And this picture behind me, if you can see it with the orchids, is a picture that I took still on film probably 30 years ago. And I went to see the exhibition, loved it, and always have loved him. Pause. 33 years later, I sent an application to have some pictures in a exhibition. And on December 31st, 2024, I got a Zoom call. You've been selected. Are you still keen to do this? Here are the pictures of the subjects that we've chosen that we would like to show in this exhibition. I'm like, okay, no problem. And they chose the series on the transgender community that I told you about before. They've chose portraits of truck drivers in Pakistan that I've been shooting over the years. And they've chose pictures that I take in Pakistan of a charity that I started 15 years ago. So children
Yeah,
in school,
I
portraits and all
remember
that kind of
that.
stuff.
As soon as you said truck drivers, I thought, that we must mention that there is that charity project, because
Yeah.
on a tangent for just a moment, one of the most striking photographs that I saw was of a young girl, and she had, the most clearest eyes. Yeah,
That one?
yeah, and the part of the story as well is that I believe, if my memory serves me correctly, that years later you took her photograph again, or you went to find her.
Yeah, so she is a girl that we sponsor. We've been sponsoring her since year five, and now she's in year 12. And for the first, I think, 4 or 5 years that I've met her, every year I've photographed her exactly the same way. Same focal length, same lens, same technical settings, just to see the progress and to see the growth.
Yeah,
So
right.
back to
And
this
back to
exhibit.
yeah.
So I showed a fair bit of different bodies of work, and the curator came back. We like these three topics, and so two were based on Pakistan, and one was here in Sydney. And I was like, I don't understand the connection, and still today I struggle with it. But the curator said, "Do you realize that in every picture you've taken, everybody's staring down the camera? They're like, there's a connection." And I never realized that. It's just, okay, yeah, fair enough. And it's
Mm,
true. So there you go.
yeah. And
Every year they have a big photo exhibition and they invite one of the big masters of photography. So they had Annie Leibovitz, Paolo Pellegrini, Helmut Newton, like the giants of photography.
sure.
And then on the top floor, there's an area for people like me. And it's set up like IKEA, where you have to go in one way, you have to go to the first floor, otherwise you can't get out. So you're obliged to see the other exhibition. And so they said, okay, we're keen to do it. Do you want to do this? Do you want to do that? And I'm like, yeah, great. And out of curiosity, who's the other photographer that's downstairs? Who's the master this year? And they said, oh, it's Robert Mapplethorpe,
Which is the gentleman you
which is the
mentioned
one I was
before.
admiring, yeah, that I was admiring 33 years ago. So
Mm,
never, never in my life would I have dreamt of having an exhibition, one in Venice in Italy, because just the setting is like, come on. Two, with Robert Mapplethorpe, who is, as I said, one of my heroes of photography. Three, all about portraits. And when
mm,
I came to Australia 25 years ago, I didn't take portraits. And I still am a yachting photographer. So I take
mm.
pictures of boats. And here I am showing only my personal work. None of my commercial work was there on display.
Yeah,
And
right.
for me, that was, again, a little, not a wake up call, but I'm like, you're doing something right with your personal work. Because
Mm.
somebody else who is a high-end critic of photography in Italy saw it and he chose all my personal stuff. I was like, okay, that's
Yeah.
fine.
After seeing
Now,
the suite, that's what he chose. Yeah, right.
the risk here was obviously a financial risk, which was quite big. I
What
did it no
was that flying
knowing
to?
that
Sorry, was that
Sorry?
Flying to Italy or?
Oh, no, flying to Italy was the fun part. The no, no, it was like the exhibition, renting the room, doing all the prints, the framing,
Sure.
media. Like there was a very important financial aspect to it. But on the other hand, I was like, take the risk. No guts, no glory. Did the
Mm.
exhibition. It was absolutely amazing, both on a human level, financially sold quite a few prints, which was really nice. Um, but I was hoping that it would open new doors to me, that I'd meet
Oh,
gallery owners, that I'd meet collectionists and all that kind of stuff, because this was in the Museum of Contemporary Art, #1 in Italy. So I'm like, come on, nothing came out of it. And I was really, besides the buzz and all that kind of stuff, I was like, wow, I didn't meet anybody. Nobody came. The gallery didn't present many people, so very disappointed.
oh,
But
right. Okay.
the person who helped me,
Yeah.
there's a lady who helped me who was in Europe, who was, let's say, coordinating between Italy and me. While we're doing this project, said, "Oh, wait a minute, I know somebody who has a gallery in Rome." I'm like, "Okay, cool, whatever. Let's have a chat." Anyway, this lady in Rome saw the pictures via Zoom because she couldn't make it to Venice. And she's like, I absolutely love the school stuff, especially because it sold well. So she's like, no, no, I want that because it's a gallery we have to sell. And then there's another personal project that I'm working on now with gold leaf that I apply on prints. And she saw that and said, I want that. So, yes, Venice didn't give anything just yet. You never know till
Yeah.
the time.
Well,
But there's this opening now in Rome. So in Rome on
yeah.
May 7th, I'm opening another exhibition, much smaller. It's only 35 prints rather than the 88 that we had in Venice, but it's another opening. So I just need one door to open. Venice opened. It was, I'll be honest, it was a financial loss, but it
Sure.
opened the door to Rome. And in my mind, and the universe has to listen, I think Rome is going to break even, or maybe even if I earn $1,000, that's fine because it's a step more than what was the last one. And then
Mm.
Rome is going to lead to something else, and then that something else is going to lead to something else, and then we know how it works.
I
So
I had
yes, it's a
something.
risk, but I believe in it.
Well, yes, yes. And I see something in the often how we look at things in from a business perspective is okay, these actions are going to happen in the business, and so these are the results that are expected, and kind of like tracking it through. And working multidimensionally, like following what I have found in my own creative process is following a an idea or receiving an idea and creating that and letting go of the attachment of where what might happen or what might show up next really has that freedom in it to receive the next step in that.
Yeah,
So
yeah, you have to be
it's
open, but you have to put yourself out there.
and
And as I said,
that's it.
financially, it was a huge risk. And as I said, I sold a fair amount of prints, did not cover my expenses, but I see it as an investment to the next step. It's like when I came
Mm,
to Australia, I used up all my savings. After a year and a half, yes, I remember I was earning enough money to pay rent, which was fine, and to live very modestly, but it was an investment. 25 years later, I'm here.
yeah,
So
right.
it paid off. So
I
I
always
hope that it's not going to take 25 years to pay off. But it's, yes, financial loss, and it sucks and it hurts. But I believe, and the proof is, that the next opportunity has already shown up. And then I
mm,
believe, and I'm convinced that Rome will either, as I said, break even, or maybe there'll be even a little bit of an earning, which is fine. But that's money, which obviously is important because you don't want to throw it away. But it's setting something up for later.
yeah,
In
yeah.
a year's time, maybe we'll have this conversation again and we'll be laughing about it.
Right, right. You don't know what will happen with that. And then that you, Andrea, you tapped on one of the questions that I was going to ask you, which was where are you presently at? So we've already gone to that place. And I'd love to hear as we close the conversation, I'd love to hear one closing insight that you'd love to give people listening about, it can be about creative risk, business, you know, the door's open.
I think if you have an idea, and I'm talking about photography because that's but I think it applies everywhere. If you have an idea, there's a reason you had that idea. We might not understand what it is now, but it's like this project I told you that I received the print the other day and I don't like it. But the idea is there. It's gonna blossom at some point because otherwise you wouldn't have the idea and it wouldn't keep going in your mind. And if you have an idea of something and it dies out after 2 or 3 months, it's done its course. But if you're doing something and you keep on doing it, and this series that I'm doing for Rome, which is gold leaf, I've been doing it for a year and a bit. I'm photographing, I'm making it in Photoshop, I'm printing, I'm doing it. And a year and a half later, I'm still not sick of it. So that
Right.
means I think, but then again, this is between me, myself, and I think that there's something of substance there. So if you have an idea, try it, do it. Obviously, if there's finances involved, try to plan it as much as you can. But when it comes to creativity, especially now with digital cameras, just take the picture. Then if you don't like it, you throw it away. But you have to do it because it's part of the process. If you're scared, you're not going to do it. And if you mess it up, great. You learn from it and you try again and you do something different.
I hear
Yeah.
that. I hear that. To add on, ideas as I have experienced have a life to them. And the idea comes to you and, receive it and allow it to express what it wants. Um, and, I read it in Elizabeth Gilbert, Big Magic, I think the book was called. And, that ideas will find you, and then if you don't act on them, they leave you and they show up somewhere else. Um,
Or they
so
show up in another form because you haven't
y-
understood it.
oh yeah, yeah, absolutely. Oh my
Um,
gosh, that is gold.
yeah, it's
Andrea,
well, there you go. My 2 cents of the day.
thank you so much for
My pleasure.
so
Great to
being
see you
here,
again.
but
Yeah, yeah. Well,
it's almost
technology.
the same.
Same, same. At least we're in the same hemisphere.